Court TV will be bringing you the trial of a Florida teenager who's accused of killing his mother. But the bizarre twist is that he also killed his father. So this morning, we're shining the spotlight on 17-year-old defendant Collin Griffith, and also the strange set of circumstances that led up to the deaths of his parents. So we know Collin shot and killed his father, Charles, in February of 2023 in Oklahoma. Investigators ruled it to be a case of self-defense. Then a few months later, deputies removed Collin from his mother's Florida home after he threatened her life.
I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, and I don't know. If I think she's going to do something, even if she's not, I might act. I'm not going to like go crazy or anything, but I'm not sure, honestly.
Okay. You're not sure if you're going to hurt?
Only if she tries to hurt me.
A year later, Collin allegedly stabbed his mother, Catherine, to death, and he claims that she fell on the knife, which police say doesn't match up with the case evidence. So were there any missed red flags? Could anything else have been done to protect this mother? Let's bring in our guest, still with me, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown, and want to welcome in forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carol Lieberman. Dr. Carol, Collin told his grandmother that he's not a psychopath when he was arrested for domestic violence in 2023. I have a clip. Let's take a look.
I was saying, Mom, I'm not a psychopath. I'm not this murderer. I'm just trying to peacefully leave or peacefully coexist and just figure something out. And she kept telling me to shut up and shut up. And when I wouldn't shut up, she hit me.
No, that's not what happened, Collin. That's not what happened. You never said you wanted to peacefully coexist.
I've been saying that.
Okay, Dr. Carol, what do you think when you have someone saying they're not a psychopath? Does that mean they might be a psychopath?
Yes, that is a clue that either they know that they're a psychopath because of what they know about psychopaths, you know, what they've seen on television or read or whatever, or even perhaps because they had seen a mental health professional who used that terminology towards them.
Appreciate it, Dr. Carol. This kid, you know, he's so calm. He's so calm in some of the clips, you know, when he recounts what happened to his dad. Let's go back where one of the officers is talking with his mother, and this is body camera footage, and she's really scared for Mom. This was a year before Mom was killed. Police were called to the house after an incident where Collin apparently threatened his mother, and the police seem maybe even more shaken up than Mom. Let's watch.
I struggle with a kid that's being released from jail and saying, if you bring me back there, she's gonna die.
If we don't do something,
Shame on us.
Yeah, then we're not.
Shame on us that we didn't do our
failed.
job and we failed you. And I'm not failing you.
And that was how investigators say this happened, that his mother was trying to bring him back home. He was apparently at his grandmother's house when he allegedly killed his mom because she was trying to bring him home to her house because she said he was violating his probation on a domestic violence case. And that's how police say it happened. Dr. Carol, what do you think when you hear that clip and then you know that 1 year later, Mom, according to Collin, fell on a knife?
Yes, very poor excuse, very poor choice for an alibi. Someone falling on a knife and they killed themselves, basically. This is such a sad story because there were so many opportunities were missed to prevent both the killing of the father and then particularly the domestic violence towards the mother and then the killing of the mother. I mean, the police should have, he was communicating to everybody. Maybe it was saying, I'm not a psychopath, but he was telling people, you know, something is going to happen. It's not safe. They were each saying that it's not safe. And yet, so it's not just law enforcement or the legal system that failed. It's also, he was Baker acted. He was made to go into a psychiatric hospital for involuntarily because of his being a danger to others. Presumably that was what he was admitted on. And then they let him out. And then they were about to let him out, and then they put him back for 3 more days, and then they let him out. And then this happened. And so clearly, that was wrong. They should not have let him out. I think he is a psychopath. The way you were describing, the way that he was standing there in all the times that we saw him, he was so cool and calm and collected. And his, yet his parents were either battered. He stomped on his mother during the domestic violence incident. And I mean, it was crying out. He was crying out to be stopped. He's even said, "I'd rather go to foster care than to be with my mother." So many people saw and yet didn't see. I mean, refused to see, including the psychiatrist. I mean, he should never have been let out of the psychiatric hospital.
Right. Amen. Dr. Carroll, love everything you just shared there. Thank you for that. Michael J. Brown, want to pick your brain, please, about a big legal decision that came yesterday from the court. So investigators, after Collin Griffith was killed, they uncovered text messages between her and Collin in which they say she was going to expose him for unlawfully killing his dad, that she essentially was of the opinion, it appears, that it wasn't a self-defense incident, and apparently was threatening to make that public or expose him in some way. And we haven't gotten to see all the messages, but from what we could gather in court. And the defense said, well, these shouldn't come in, these are prejudicial. The judge decided that they will come in, but the jury can't know that it was his own dad that he killed. They can only know that he killed someone in self-defense, but they cannot know it was his own father. What do you think about that ruling, Michael?
Yeah, listen, everything is prejudicial. Every piece of evidence is prejudicial. So the standard always, as you know, Julie, is prejudicial versus probative. Does the probative value outweigh the prejudicial effect? Now here, you can argue, the defense can, that it's hearsay, that it's a statement made out of court, offered in court for the truth of the matter asserted. That's our 101 evidence definition. But it's not being offered for the truth in the sense that I'm really going, from Mom's standpoint, she's really going to tell somebody. Whether she is or not isn't the point. The point is she's conveying that thought to the defendant and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And the sole purpose is what the prosecution, I assume, would argue, to introduce that is to show why the defendant engaged in the course of conduct that he did in response to this text message. So great ruling. Now, in terms of the father and killing the father, yeah, that's not relevant for this jury. What's important is, hey, I'm going to expose what you did. It doesn't matter who I allege you killed, but it's about what I'm going to expose, and then the reaction subsequent to that. So yeah, I would agree with that ruling, yes.
Michael, thank you so much for the legal analysis there. Dr. Carroll, before we have to say goodbye to you, I want to ask you, please, about how dangerous you think Collin Griffith may be.
I think he's extremely dangerous. For example, he obviously doesn't like people telling him what to do, or doesn't like people, saying something that contradicts what he wants. So next on his list would have been his grandmother, or if he were put into foster care, it would have been the foster care parents, or just somebody, who he comes in contact with randomly. So yes, he should be kept in jail forever. I mean, he's a very dangerous young man, and one only can wonder, at least so far, unless more comes out, one only can wonder what happened to him when he was growing up, to make him that cruel, that much of a sociopath.
Right. That's a great question. I can't wait till we get perhaps an answer to that when this trial starts